Hi everyone, welcome to LIMC podcast, the show where we dive deep into the mind of real leaders and unveil their inspiring stories. I'm Sakshi Gupta, and on the show today, we delve into the world of sport tourism and event management with Terrance Hasseltine, President of the Sport and Entertainment Corporation of Maryland. Today, our episode will be hosted by Siva Vangala, a visionary CEO who built three successful companies.
Terry, first of all, this is Shiva. I would be the host, for this broadcast for today. And thanks for joining us. And we would like to learn more about your experience and in the industry of sports and tourism. Welcome, and it would be great if you can start by introducing about your 25 years of experience, in both tourism and also events management space.
Well, thank you for having me, Shiva. This is a tremendous opportunity for me to talk about an industry in which I am very passionate about. For those listening, my name is Terry Hasseltine. I am the Executive Director of the Maryland Sports Commission. I also have the honor of being the President of the Sport and Entertainment Corporation of Maryland, which is an extension of the Sports Commission, and it's a nonprofit arm. I also have the honor of being the Vice President of the Maryland Stadium Authority over Marketing and Communication Initiatives, which oversees the 85-acre complex that is home of the Baltimore Orioles as well as the Baltimore Ravens in our two stadiums, Oriole Park at Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium. But my 25-year career goes back to destination management, both here in the state of Maryland for the last 15 years, prior to that, the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the city of Louisville. And then I used to be on the collegiate athletic side with the NCAA, Eastern Kentucky University, and SUNY Cortland, and the NAI. So vast experience in this sports event and mega event industry, as well as the destination management aspect of tourism.
Awesome. That's pretty impressive, Terry. You have a lot of experience. You would be the best person to really talk about how the landscape of sports events really evolved over the past decade, and what are the key factors which are driving these changes.
Well, there's a lot of factors at play. Obviously sports is one of those unifying forces that you see across the globe. Countries celebrate World Cups, countries celebrate the Olympics, countries celebrate sports in general. It brings people together and creates camaraderie and international and national pride. And so over the last decade or so, the things that have really changed in the landscape is youth and amateur sports is growing exponentially. The money that families are spending for kids to have great experiences on the field, to play the court, or whatever the surface and or medium in which they play in, has grown significantly, as has the technology in and around sports. So a fact that I like to highlight is in 2018, the youth and amateur sports market did $19.8 billion worth of economic bandwidth in the United States alone. The NFL, which is our highest ranking professional sports league in the United States, did 16.3. Okay. So you're seeing a vast difference in the vitality and the importance of youth and amateur sports in comparison to some of the biggest leagues out there in our market. But what's also changed too is the types of sports which are entering our marketplace, which are very significant here, especially in the United States. Sports that traditionally were probably along the Asian perimeter and or over in Europe or South America are now migrating into the United States. Sports like cricket, rugby, the game of football, as it's called everywhere else in the globe, but here soccer has grown significantly. Therefore, participation rates and engagement in new sports, as well as independent and electronic sports. So you're talking about BMX, you're talking about skateboarding, you're talking about breakdancing is in the Olympics now. And then you add an esports, which is people competing on gaming systems and the like. So you're talking about an industry that was really traditional about 10 to 15 years ago. Now, because of technology and now because of the landscape of what people want out of sports, has changed significantly. And I go back and add to that equation. If you look back at the history of the United States and some of the things that have happened in our landscape, 9/11, the Great Recession of 08, 09, and then you add in the pandemic, what's the first market that always recovers after a major significant, downslide? Sports, whether it's youth and amateur or whether it's professional and collegiate. They all are the quickest to bounce back, creating economic vitality for communities across the United States as well as other places in the world. So sports is a very significant economic driver and a significant cog to connecting people.
I agree with you 200%. So you're talking about technology, what's the emerging technology, right? So how do you see the technology shaping the future of these sports events and also the sports tourism?
Well, it's changing the landscape from the perspective is that people now have 80-inch and 100-inch high def, fully engaging, technology in their homes. So what are we doing on the live event sports space and entertainment space to encourage people to leave their home where, in some cases they have a better seat at their home than they do in the stadium or the venue in which they're going to. So we're having to change the experience inside the venue so that people want to come out. We got to create social environments at events. We got to create technology that stays strong and stays solid so that people can stay connected during events. You also have to make sure that the in-game or the in-event experience is something that you can only get being live. You can't smell, the hot dogs, at a ball game, and you can't smell the popcorn in the background or the barbecue or whatever sitting on your couch. But you come out here, you
Exactly.
add that essence of that smell and the atmosphere and the tailgating and the engaging of people prior to a game from the social aspect. You can't get that sitting on your couch. However, the viewing experience can. You also go into the bowl and you look at now, I can be in my seat for an entirety of a game, and through an app, I can order my concessions and I can have it delivered to my seat because I don't want to miss a minute of the action, especially in sports like, football. Like I said, it's across, that's called across the world, but soccer here. That action is going for 90 plus minutes with a little break at halftime. You don't want to miss the goal
I
or the
agree.
penalty kick or the thing that changes the game of play. So you want to be in your seat and you want to make sure the replays and you want to make sure that things can come to you. So you got to make sure you're connected 24/7, 365 in the bowl of that event, and make sure the apps that tell you where things are going to happen and when things are going to happen are robust, dynamic, and also present opportunities to give people a chance to interact with it. So the landscape in technology has changed, the game of sports and sports event in general, and it's only going to get bigger and stronger as technology continues to evolve.
I agree with you 200% because we are, I'm the founder of Event Titans. It's an event management application. So I can see what exactly you're talking about, changing from virtual environment to the live environment, how we can make people more engaging and all. That's great. So when you said that, do you see any, can you share with us a success story or where a destination transformed its tourism industry, through strategic sports event hosting?
Well, one of the things that you're seeing a lot in our market right now is destinations are connecting with the events so they can own the landscape of some of the technology. When people are coming into town, they have so many ways of getting information these days and trying to streamline that information so that people can get what they need, when they need it. And so you're seeing a lot of events in integrating tourism aspects into apps that are associated with events so that people know that post game, during the game, or whatever, where the restaurants are, where the best places to stay are, what are the attractions that are open after, where are some of the nightclubs that they can go to if it's a night game or something like that. So because of that, you're seeing tourism destinations migrating their communication trails into where people are ascertaining their information. The days of doing print ads and publications is weaning, and people are going into digital place content as well as storytelling and creating a robust environment because people have so many ways to make decisions these days.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people who are making decisions are going on their technology in order to ascertain that information. So what you're seeing now is destinations are migrating to catch up with what's trending. And so the success story that we use all the time here is that we have joined efforts with various digital as well as other electronic means in order to not only put our venues at play and put our events at play, making sure that we are exactly where people want to go, one finger touch away from getting what they need. And so that's the thing that's really transcending in our industry right now, is destinations realizing the magnitude of where content is absorbed.
That's nice. That's a good idea. Like, where I would like to know where all it's easier to meet people and greet them when I know that they also came to the same sport, and I can strike a conversation in a particular venue. Love
Yeah.
that. Love that.
Yeah.
So, like, one question evolving, from this would be like, what are the investments, like, in like, if somebody would like to invest in this tourism aspect, sports tourism, what would be the like, how we can invest, and also, like, how does this contribute to the economic development of that particular community?
Yeah. So I use a phrase that I should probably trademark, but I won't. But it's heads and beds, food and belly, gas and cars, credit card and cash encounters, and butts and seats. It's really how the industry is measured. I mean, we want people to come into our community, have a great experience. So we want them to stay in hotels, and or Airbnbs or whatever. We want them to call our destination home while they're here. Food and belly. We want them to eat at restaurants, both morning, noon, and night, and attend, things where they can get the best cuisine. The state of Maryland is known to be a foodie. I mean, crab cakes. I mean, we have we have the best crab cakes in the world. And we want
Wow.
people to experience that cuisine when they're here. So you have heads and beds, food and belly, the gas car. That's the transportation model. Whether you fly into our community, whether you train into our community, or whether you drive, or whether you take, a boat, you can get to us by boat. That's awesome. We're right on the eastern shore. So however you get here, we want to make sure that experience from wherever you transact your transportation to wherever the venue and or the hotel you're going to is connected. So that goes back to the technology. How are we, people giving people navigational tools to do what they need to do? Heads and beds, food and belly, gas card, credit card encounters, retail. How are we getting people to spend in the market while they're here? So are they going to the retail outlets? Are they shopping at the ballparks and making sure they're going home with the right gear? Are they making sure that they're investing in the sport in which they participate? So you have heads and beds, food and belly, gas and cars, credit card and cash card. Now you have butts and seats. How are we getting these people, once they hit our community, to put their fannies in the stadium, put their fannies on the sidelines at a ballpark? And that's, some of the things that where people can invest. You see those subsets. There's technologies, there's sponsorship opportunities. There's a way to help us grow and foster the game. There's a way to do philanthropic endeavors and contribute to things like the Sport and Entertainment Corporation of Maryland, who are putting on these events, but need the resources and tools in order to deliver world-class content and world-class experience for our visitors. So there are a plethora of ways to invest and get involved. And there's also ways in certain sports to own. So it all depends on how creative you want to be as a corporation or as an individual, and invest in, the technologies and or the services that are associated with helping these sports thrive and helping destinations thrive by having these sports in the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing you sold me on is the crab cakes. I'm from I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. When I come to Maryland this time, I'm trying them for sure.
Oh yeah, we have, every restaurant, has a form of it, but crab cakes in Maryland, as I'm wearing a shirt today, crab cakes in football or crab cakes in lacrosse is what we do in Maryland. It's, and win championships. So you add those things together and, it's a world-class experience. And like I said, crab cakes, I can't personally eat them because I'm allergic to seafood, but I can tell you, if you are a foodie and you truly enjoy, a fine dining experience or even a casual dining experience, Maryland has some of the best restaurants and some of the best food resources in food to table or, farm to table experiences. And some of our breweries and wineries are just through the roof. So next time you're up from Atlanta, check out the food scene in Maryland. You won't be disappointed.
Definitely would do that, Terry. Thank you for that. So, you gave a clear path in terms of, like, how the communities can utilize all these different means to have the revenue coming in, so that it helps us in growing the community. So, do you also see any challenges from this, for the communities to really implement this and grow?
The challenges that we face right now, in my opinion, is you got sports that are growing exponentially. Sports like pickleball, sports in our community, cricket, lacrosse, and other. can you get oversaturated on how much you can offer within a sports discipline? And also, there are other spaces within the tourism space that you got to make sure that you're mindful of when you, especially on mega events, you want to make sure that community can capitalize on the new guests that are coming to the community and not displace other activities in the process. And that's a unique juggling act that communities have to do, because I might be the sports enthusiast and I want to see sporting events thrive and capture. But at the end of the day, every city and every community has other things that are important, whether it's a commemoration of an anniversary of something that's very significant, or it's the arts community or the theater community, and there's other productions going on in town. You want to hope you can collaborate at the highest level to ensure that everybody can benefit from the possibility. But you also have to be mindful that there are other people who have a right to have their day. And because of that, you sometimes have to navigate very gently to ensure that you get what you need in the marketplace, while at the same time not upsetting and or angering another subset of folks in the tourism space, because we all need to play in the sandbox together and we need to be mutually beneficial partners. So the key word there is collaboration and identifying how you can add on and be a part of something great and not push something else aside.
God. So like you are, that's a great advice. Thanks, Terry. So what I see that you're very close to the Washington DC. So how
Yes.
does this policies affect this? Policymakers should really look into leveraging this youth and amateur sports as an economic driver in their particular region.
Yeah. Well, so policymakers have a multitude of responsibilities when it comes to how they can support the youth and amateur space, both from an economic perspective, but also from a participation and a safety perspective. As we all grow and more sports come online and more access to opportunities come online, you can oversaturate kids with too much activity and too much play. So one of the things that we try to avoid, if possible, is having kids specialize too early in their sports playing career. Making sure that if you're a young kid and you're between probably 6 and 12, making sure that you're crossing over to multiple sports, learning multiple disciplines in the game, because every sport is a little bit different. Every sport teaches a little different attribute on life and quality of competition, and you just want to make sure that policymakers are setting regulations that are being very mindful, but at the same time aren't creating policies that make it so challenging that we can't overcome them, in order to create creative ways in order to make economic vitality for communities through youth and amateur, collegiate and or professional sports. So I just think the important part is, if you're doing your job on the home front and you're informing your legislators and your constituents as to the value and the connectivity and how we can do things in legacy programming and initiative development and helping underserved communities engage with activities so their kids can be presented with opportunities that they might not get if we didn't bring other events to town. So there's a lot of moving parts within that conversation, and our job as people in the industry is to make sure that we're creating the right tools of information and education, so that the people who are elected to leadership roles, both on the national level and on the local level, best understand why we do what we do and how it actually is important and how it connects to other segments of society, so that it's a win-win for the locals as well as the people coming in to visit.
Got it. Nice. So is there any policy recently that's been implemented that you would like to appreciate the policymakers, or comment about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of movement now about head injuries and concussion in sports, and legislators are now taking in the technologies and the equipment manufacturing industry to making sure that we have baseline information about athletes, especially in collision sports, that there's a baseline of activity so they understand how gear is better equipping kids as well as young adults, so that we can mitigate as much head injury and head trauma as possible. I applaud sports for like soccer heading out of the game when a kid is young. They're still developing in the neck. They're still developing in the cranium area. So having something hit their head continuously when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, I think it's a very good move in the sport, because that will come when you have better control of your muscle structure and the like. So the fact that they're paying attention to the head trauma. I also give them a lot of kudos about creating time away from play so that kids' bodies can recover and athletes can recover. So what people are doing at the collegiate level and also the youth level is making sure that the time on the field is equitable to their time off the field too, so that you're not 24/7, 365 playing a sport, because your body breaks down, which means that your mind breaks down, which means that your recovery time doesn't happen as quickly. So I will give legislation a lot. They're paying attention to those factors and the safety of sports. And then there's also, some other things out there that I won't comment on today that are just a little bit out there. So it is what it is.
Great. Thanks, Terry, for all the wonderful information. Last but not the least, I would like to read out the accolades, whatever you received in the last 5 years, if you don't mind. Okay,
Please.
so it's the 2022 Maryland Tourism Person of the Year, 2021 Faces to Watch by the Baltimore Business Journal, 2019 Destination Marketing Organizations Corporative Partner of the Year. In the same year, you also got Influential Marylander by the Daily Record, 2017 Sports Tourism Executive of the Year by NASE,
Yes.
and Tourism Partner of the Year by Wicomio County Recreation, Parks and Tourism. Great. Yeah, I could see that you did a lot of contribution in the field of events, tourism, sports, and love the complete contribution that you did to the society, and sharing your your knowledge with our viewers. And like to conclude, if you could tell us exactly what made you to enter into this industry, and also what is your motivation, that would be great, Terry.
Well, I'm very fortunate. I'm the youngest of 4 boys in a family of educators. I played sports growing up my entire life. I was very blessed to have, a great family that, helped give me a solid foundation. And then I had brothers who supported me as I've gotten older in my career. I've always wanted to be, whether it was on the sidelines or whether it was in, college, sports, or whether it was on this side. I learned about the destination marketing side probably 10, 15 years into my career when I worked for the NAI, and I realized that these destinations are hosting our sporting events, and they have, ways for me to not have to travel as much, but I can also be at home and still do the thing that I love, which is putting on major sporting events and helping, sports grow. So I've been blessed with a nucleus of great family, great mentors in the industry. I've had people throughout my career who have been there for me as sounding boards, people trying to identify those niche areas in which I could be really successful in. And so I just tell people today, if you can latch on to someone who is, someone who's a superstar in the industry, who is willing to take you under their wing and allow you to grow and foster you as a professional, I've been blessed by that. And I can't thank the industry for giving me the opportunity to lead it when I was with the chair of the National Association of Sports Commissions, to being a part of committees across, the U.S. and now internationally, as I serve on the International Association of Event Hosts, which is an organization that was created about 8 years ago, bringing people like myself who are common practitioners and practitioners in the major event space to talk about best practices. So the great thing about our industry, in all fairness, we are constantly working with one another to make our industry stronger, but also sharing best practices and best ideas. What worked for Baltimore and the state of Maryland, the foundation of it will work probably anywhere else in the globe. However, our economy and our economics and some of our political might not be the same. So everybody's got to create a model that works for them. But I just leave it again. Find a good mentor. If you're blessed to have a family like I have, count your blessings and just find that mentor that will take you under the wing and give you the tutelage that you need to be successful. And I've been blessed that way.
Awesome, great. Thanks again, Terry, for
Thank you.
sharing your insights and having being on our LIMP podcast for this week. And over and out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.